What's up, guys? I'm going to do my ranking for Grape Digger albums, and again, I'm going to do a top 10 just because they got so many albums and so many that are equally good, and I don't really know how to tell one better from the other. So I just, I don't know. I'm just going to go with my top 10. So I'm going to go from my favorite and go to my least favorite, and let's begin. My top favorite's probably got to be Knights of the Cross, because it's kind of almost like the ultimate Grave Digger album in a sense. It's got everything that a good Grave Digger album needs. Plus, I think it's like one of their most creative albums. Like, there's so much variety. Just a lot of unique ideas. Chris Boltendall's voice. Let's face it, he's not the best singer in the world, but and he kind of sounds a little goofy here on this album, but as well as some other albums. But it's just good. I don't know. There's something about Chris Boltendall. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But he's kind of like a big part of the band. Like, it is his band really, but it's just his voice is just, you can't escape it. It's part of it. So take it for what it is. My next favorite has got to be Rheingold. And Rheingold it's a monster of a heavy album. It's just really, really heavy type of traditional heavy metal, power metal, whatever you want to call it. But I can't emphasize the word enough. It's heavy, very, very heavy, and very, very fun, and kind of a concept. Actually, I think it is a concept album. But yeah, I highly recommend this one if you want to check out some Grave Digger for sure. Next, I'm going to say the album The Grave Digger, and this album's got some similarities to Rheingold. Instead of like having more of that epic fantasy feel type of sound to it, this one's more of just heavy and dark. And so yeah, it's just one of their heaviest. Again, I can't emphasize enough the heaviness of this album. One of the heaviest Grave Digger albums without a doubt, and it's just good all around. Next, I will have to say Tunes of War. This one, in some ways, is fairly similar to Knights of the Cross, in my opinion. It's a concept album, and it's got some of their best melodies on this album. I just can't help it. Especially the song Rebellion is just, it's probably one of the best chorus lines I've ever heard in any song. And, as goofy as Chris Boltendall's voice can be, somehow he manages to make great vocal lines and melodies. He's just got a knack for it, I guess. But yeah, really, really good album. Next, I'm going to have to say Heart of Darkness. This is kind of, some people might say that this is kind of like Grave Digger's, this is the beginning of their true legacy. And even though I can see what they're saying, I don't really agree. I think their first album, Heavy Metal Breakdown, was the beginning of their legacy, because that's the beginning of the band. I don't think there's anything bad about early Grave Digger. But anyway, Hearts of Darkness kind of is the album, though, that sort of shaped what kind of band they are going to be, like, from here on out. And it is a very, very good album. Chris Boltendall decided on this album to sing more of that deeper voice, which, again, I'm going to say it again and again. It sounds a little goofy, but it works. It's definitely something that sets it apart. Next, I'm going to have to say Excalibur. Another middle-age theme album based on, you guessed it, Excalibur. So this one is a very, very heavy album. Lots of speed metal tracks on this one. A lot of medieval vibes and sounds here. And I highly recommend it if you like, just really, really heavy power metal. The song Excalibur is probably one of the best songs. That's the first Grave Digger songs I ever heard, and man, it's just a fun one. It's very, very headbanging. Next, I will have to say Heavy Metal Breakdown. And, this album, it was their first album, and it came out in 1984, so it's some very early Grave Digger. All I could say is this album really isn't anything super spectacular. It's just fun to listen to. Some albums are just fun to listen to. It's like Grave Digger's most raw album. I mean, Chris Boltondoll, back in the 80s, he used to sing in a much higher range. And personally, I kind of wish he still sang like this. It still sounds odd, but it sounds cool. I think, anyway. He sounds more like a singer to me when he sings like this, but that's just me. So, with that being said, early Grave Digger almost had more of a, you can hear like the German influences, a lot of probably Accept, probably in their sound you can hear stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, the next, I would say War Games. War Games is, again, it's another 80s Grave Digger album. This one I always felt was very overlooked. This one is like almost like they were trying to go a little bit more, slight bit more commercial, but not quite entirely. It's still kind of got like that 80s Judas Priest mixed with a Accept sound to it. A lot of bigger choruses, a little more sing-songy choruses than some other Grave Digger albums, but it's just really good. And there's still a good share of speed metal on it too, so yeah, it's definitely nothing wrong with this album. It's a lot heavier than what they did when they changed their name to Digger. So, and you know what? Say what you will about that Digger album. I still think it's good for what it is. I don't care what anybody says. But anyway, moving on. The next album on the list, I'm going to put The Reaper. I don't know why this album doesn't get talked about as much. It's really balls to the wall heavy. And it's one of their earlier albums. It was kind of like their comeback album. They kind of, after they made that Digger album, they kind of hung low and kind of disappeared a little bit. Almost like that almost ruined them or something. It was just a bad move by the band, and I don't think they really wanted to do it anyway. But when they came back, they hit hard with this full length called The Reaper, and it's just a lot of speed metal on this one. And Chris still kind of has that high-pitched vocal style in this one. And I can't help it. I think it sounds so cool when he sings this way. Just wish he'd still do it, but oh well. Last and certainly not least is, believe it or not, one of their newer albums, Return of the Reaper. So you had The Reaper, and this is Return of the Reaper, and I don't know. I remember thinking Grave Digger was kind of going into a little bit of a rut for a little bit, and it's not a bad rut, like they weren't putting out bad albums. It's just they were putting out stuff that I wasn't like. Stuff that really isn't like breathtaking. It's like, here's another good Grave Digger album. Okay, where's the next one? Okay, another good Grave Digger album. But this kind of like set a different tone for the band. For they kind of needed something to kind of spark some new life into the band, and I think this kind of did it. But Return of the Reaper is kind of like kind of harkens back to the early days of Grave Digger. It does a lot to that degree. It does a lot of speed metal, traditional metal, just basically what Grave Digger is known for. But this album just has a great production, one of the best ones they had in years, and it really hit hard. I don't know, it's just a really enjoyable album, and so I like to see that this band still has it in them to do something that's actually can grab my attention. So, but anyway, that's my top 10 for Grave Digger. Gotta be one of the most consistent bands in history. I mean, except for that Digger instance, they really never strayed away from their sound too much. Just that one time. and they came back and they kept it the same ever since. So yeah, that's my top 10. And if you like this video, smash that like button. And man, I feel like an idiot saying that. I don't know, but everybody says it. And then subscribe and help me out. So thanks a lot, guys. Till next time.